Game over. It is game over.
Game over, cancer.
I'm Val Solomon, Director of Program Impact at Cannonball Kids Cancer Foundation.
And I'm Dana Nichols, Executive Director of CKC.
Game over, cancer. A podcast dedicated to exploring conversations about pediatric cancer research, solutions, and inspiring family stories.
We're a nonprofit dedicated to creating innovative treatment options for kids fighting cancer and educating for change.
By creating a space for these conversations, we empower the community to take action and provide tangible hope.
Game over, cancer. Screw you, cancer.
This episode is all about saying yes, whether you're ready or not.
Yeah.
We're going to talk today with a CKC volunteer who stepped into a leadership role this year.
And stepped into a leadership role for her first time.
Right. And talks a little bit about what motivated her, what made her confident to do so. But I really think the great part about this conversation is if you are kind of on the fence about wanting to get involved in any nonprofit or any mission, she kind of has some really good tips for just jumping in and getting comfortable with being uncomfortable.
100%. So this talk really talks with our Ripple Effect Committee Chair, Natasha. We're talking about leadership. We're talking about volunteerism. We're talking a little bit about being uncomfortable when you do it and how awesome of an event we'll be having this fall. We hope you like it and take a listen. Our guest has a long and fulfilling career in the fine wine industry. She's embraced it not just as a job, but a lifestyle. Though wine has been central to her professional path, a passion for nonprofit work has always been quietly present and was ignited when CKC approached her with an idea for a women's empowerment luncheon, benefiting pediatric cancer research, of course. She immediately said yes as an opportunity to get involved and make a difference. And now, 3 years later, she's proudly serving for the first time as chair of the Ripple Effect Luncheon. She's collaborating and leading with a dedicated group of women to grow the event's impact, empowering others while raising critical funds and awareness for pediatric cancer research. In her words, to pour into like-minded women, all while raising awareness and funding for pediatric cancer research, her cup or wine glass runneth over. I love a pun. I love this lady. It is Natasha Maio Lonbaken. Welcome.
Thank you.
Thank you for
being
joining
here.
us.
Yes.
Thanks so much. I really appreciate being here.
We are so glad that we're going to talk all about Ripple today because it's one of our favorite days of the year. And I think a lot of times we go out and in emails and social and everything, we talk one-on-one to people and we're like, it's different. You just got to be there. It's so good. And today we get to be like, what does that mean? What are you trying to say? So I wonder if we can even just start with what's the Ripple Effect Luncheon to you and what makes it different from other events you see around town?
Sure. So for me, Ripple has been interesting to watch as it's sort of evolved over time, because when you first approached me, it was a brand new idea in your heads and we hadn't really seen it materialize.
Yeah.
So then watching it over the last couple of years and now going into our third year, I would say for me, watching like-minded women come together and then leave the room. First of all, our speakers have been sensational and they've changed every single year in their messaging and their style. So I can't wait to see what Mimi brings this year.
Me too.
So for me, watching and being in the room and feeling that electricity of like-minded women. First, you walk in the door and we've got these amazing activities set up. Last couple of years, we did headshots. I know we're evolving and changing, so it won't always be the same every year. But what we've done in the past that's been successful, headshots and building art kits that get delivered, which I'd love to go back to because that delivery was impactful for me on the other side of the event. And then to go in and sit down and have this amazing experience of listening to these speakers motivate in their own unique way and their own unique styles and feeling that electricity as it builds through the crowd is amazing. And then in the past, we've done a couple things that really was indicative of the ripple.
Mm-hmm.
So we've passed stones forward that we wrote something incredible on. We've done other things that kind of create the wave in the building. And then for them to take that out into the world,
Yeah.
it has been awesome. I leave there feeling so high that I cannot go back and concentrate on anything else for a little while. Like I need a group meeting so we can talk about the amazing effect and how we were all feeling afterwards.
Yeah.
So that's been really impactful for me and has meant a lot year after year.
Yeah. It's a great description of what's happening.
That is
there.
a great description.
Mm-hmm.
And I love the idea. I like the where you share, like, when I got on board with this, it was really an idea. Because we really have spent 2 years really trying to make sure people understood that it's not your average fundraising event.
Mm-hmm.
Fundraising is going to happen there. We are going to put donations toward pediatric cancer. But a big key to this is pouring into the audience and into those women. So can you share a little bit, you already started, but can you share a little bit more about, what you've seen as women experiencing that? Like, what does it mean to be poured into in this way? And how have you seen that, like, at the event and afterwards in your experience?
Yeah, so I think first the speakers themselves, their messaging in particular. So it might be helping women to feel like they don't have to give so much of themselves, for example, right? So that's going to resonate differently through the crowd, but you can see I like to look around in the crowd, and I usually sit towards the back so I kind of can get a glance at faces. And oftentimes you can see when something a speaker has said really hits home, because you'll see like a nod or like a sigh or an eye roll, and you're like, that was impactful for them. So I think that for me, like sitting back and watching that and then knowing, because I don't get to see it in action, right, in real time. Another speaker also gave us little cards that we could take that were a lot of like almost like mission statements, and you could take a stack and you could literally like leave it in a lady's bathroom for other people. So continuing and passing on that notion, whatever the expression was, whatever the thought process was, whatever hit home for them.
Yeah.
Having something tangible to walk out with, not just mentally, right? But then that's the challenge for us as women, because the minute we walk out of the luncheon, it's easy to hear the phone start pinging and know that it's almost time for pickup. And I should say for parents, not just for women, but that then becomes something that each individual person that's in there seated, it now has to become their mission to carry it out, right?
Yeah.
Like you have to take ownership of whatever that message is and say, okay, that hit home for me. So now I want to take it out into the world. How can I enact this? So maybe it's, sitting down and journaling that forward, and so that you keep some of those notions and then you can come back to it. It's as simple as writing like we did on a stone, like a thought. Mine was believe. It has been for a long time. I have a few stones that say that, but that was the first thing that popped into my mind, that I wrote that on my stone, believe. So believing in yourself, believing in the cause, believe in each other, believe in change, whatever your belief is. So all those little drops in the pool that really make the ripple are all parts of what I think we offer at our luncheon.
And I think what you said is huge, because what we keep saying, we want to pour into women. And it's that exact thing you're saying. You're going to leave. Your phone's going to start ringing. There's a meeting. I got to pick up people. I got to pick up things. I got to do 1,000 things. And from the inception of this luncheon, we kept saying we want a space for women to build community and know that they have a part in this. And also, I cannot stand up in front of a group of women and ask them to just do one more thing without acknowledging how much everyone does. And so then it became, okay, well, what do women need? And we need a space where we can be honest about how much is going on in our lives and be able to hear a message that's about being able to say no to burnout or being able to raise their hand and say yes, or whatever that thing is. And the other piece I think has been really cool is when I've talked to people who've been to the event, they have so many different takeaways. Right. And that's what's crazy to me, because everyone's listening to the same speaker or the same, speakers talking throughout the whole lunch. But what you need to hear, you hear.
Yes.
And that can be different from me and you and you. And that seems to be the case for a room of 200 people.
100%.
That's been really cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, sometimes we like hear after the event, oh my God, that was so great. And like you hear different highlights from people. And sometimes you hear people talking about the exact same moment, but completely differently.
Yeah.
And it really
Yeah.
is what you're bringing, like what's weighing on you at that moment.
Right.
And that's what I think has been phenomenal to see from the nonprofit perspective is it's really our job to go in there and try to connect with every single person in
Right.
the room because you want them to be you want them to feel connected to what they're doing, but also to your mission. And it's so interesting to see people connect to the same thing, but in a different way.
Yeah.
It really, this is the first time I've seen that happen
Yeah.
at an event.
It's how it's received, right? So
Yeah.
the recipient is going to feel the impact in whatever way is going to be impactful for them.
Yeah. But I think that speaks to meeting people where they're at and giving space for there to be more than one message too.
And finding amazing speakers and letting them do what they do and kind of get out of their way has been, I mean, we've just been so fortunate with the talent that we've brought.
For sure. I think CKC has definitely sourced great speakers, and every year the messaging has been slightly different. So it's not the same rah, go out there and get them, ladies. You can do all the things. It's been different messages for each year. So I can't wait for this year.
Yeah, it's awesome.
So you're a fan.
Yeah.
And you're engaged and you're bought in, but then you said yes to being the chair. So can you talk a little bit about, what inspired you to taking that next step and really raising your hand and saying, I will do the next piece.
It was so in order for me to kind of get there, I would say even farther back than 2 years ago than being on the committee, I would say that I was looking for something to participate in. And I'm very much like, if it's meant to come your way, it's going to come your way type of person. I feel like if you're looking for something too hard, you're not going to find the right thing, or the fit might not be right. So this came to me in a really organic way. Dana had approached me and a couple of other mutual friends with this idea, and that we're trying to form a committee. And I really didn't even know what it meant, to be honest. And so when I said yes, it was definitely from a place of, I'm going to now finally enter the world of nonprofit. I know that already that this is a cause that I would believe in. I need more information. I need education on it. And I'm still in that place because obviously it's only been 2 years. This is the third. But I took it in the last 2 years as a place of true learning. Like I really just needed to not talk and to let all the messaging and how are we doing this kind of fall on me. I've never done anything like this before, but I knew that I wanted to do something. So then after the first 2 years of seeing how the luncheon is organized and the amount of commitment that it takes to be a part of the committee. And then after the 2 years, and we had 2 really awesome events, we sat around a big table with the committee, and we knew that this position was going to come up for grabs because I think it's basically a 2-year commit. So it was going to be a vacancy to fill. And I talked to a couple of the other committee members, I think I want to do this. I think I want to do this. I know I want to do this, honestly. But then I think as we were literally sitting around the table, I looked at you, Dana, and I was like, can I do this? And you said, yes, you can. And so I said, okay, I want to, and I just, I wouldn't say blindly, but I really just put myself out there to say, I want to do it. I want to do it. So I want to lead. I want to be a bigger part of CKC. I see myself committing to nonprofit, not for the short term, but for the long. I believe in what you do at CKC, especially it has to do with children. And I always knew in my mind that whatever it is that I leaned into, it would be something for kids. So, or yes, for kids especially, and I won't go into the but for kids. So what it means to me now, like what the position. So now, okay, our committee is double the size than it was when we started, which is so cool. Yes. And I mean, women from all walks of life, different age ranges. There are career set women. There are moms. There are moms that are career set women. I mean, it covers everything. And getting to sit in a position where I can now still feels like a learning spot for me, because now I may have earlier access to maybe a meeting agenda, But the rest of it is learning from the committee.
Right.
Still, I mean, it's just the women are so smart and they come with great ideas and they have great outreach in terms of helping source things that we're going to need for the luncheon itself.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know. All of it for me still feels very much like a learning experience, while I'm an organized person, so I know that I can help in that, lend that. I have some expertise in organization, but the rest of it, I still feel like I'm kind of just taking your lead and taking the lead from the women and that are on the committee, and then pouring that back into CKC, into the Ripple Effect itself, into the luncheon. I hope that answered the question.
That's an amazing answer.
Okay. Yeah. And I think if you hear that and don't think, oh, I should go to that event, like to me, I'm like, cool, this event's not for you. Because what I hear is you found yourself in a space where you felt safe enough to raise your hand and learn and lead other women and also learn with other women. And like, that's why this event feels so special when you're there, because there is this committee of people who are like, what would be the best experience? What do we all need? And how do we all really collaborate in a real way? And I think it's so beautiful. And I think the other piece that's been really cool to watch is this idea of when I think I'm saying yes, everyone else already knows what they're doing and knows the script, and I'm just the one who doesn't, right? So like when I'm the only one who's never been on the committee, I'm the only one who's never chaired. Everyone else who's saying yes must be because they've done it 1,000 times.
Yeah.
And that's not the case. And the more we can like pull back that curtain, I think it makes it a little easier to stand up, because all of us want to, especially as women, we have it all together. We know what we're doing. And if we can say like, I really want to do this thing and I don't know how, cool, let's all figure it out together. And that's what this is and has become.
I absolutely think that's a roadblock to leadership sometimes, is just 100%. The thought of, well, if I just need to know a little bit more and then I'll feel confident about it. And I love how you've explained it as an evolution of learning and understanding.
Yeah.
And it doesn't mean that you aren't a great leader or can't be a great leader while you're still figuring things out. That's the experience across the board of great leadership, is learning as you're going.
Right. And you surround yourself with the right people, right?
Yeah.
And then, I mean, it just becomes kismet. You have an easy access to these brilliant minds, which we do. The strength of Ripple Effect lays within the committee.
100%. Yeah. It's so awesome. So I think it would be cool to hear, what do you feel like you've learned about yourself through this volunteer leadership so far?
I still feel like so it's about to heat up, really. like we're getting closer to our event, right? We have months, and this is summer months, which everyone inherently knows everything sort of shifts and changes because kids are out of school. So schedules can be different, can be a good thing though, because we get a little bit more flexibility. So I think the question is, what have I
We'll learn about yourself.
Learn about myself.
Learn about how you lead in a volunteer space.
All right. So I'll tell you this. We had a great meeting yesterday, Kylie and I. Kylie was on the podcast and she's part of CKC's foundation team. So she's not a committee member, but Kylie, I used, honestly, like for her to come to the meeting with me was important, because I needed her to speak to the CKC piece in a bigger way than I know that what are we really capable of? I can get small places where I know that we can do this, but I'm not sure if we can do this. She also could speak to the numbers and the figures of what CKC has done over the past several years with so much more proficiency than I certainly can. So we took this great meeting. We have some cool opportunities to basically publicize the event on the local level, to really have an event where we can bring women in, and on the side, like a sidecar of, here's what we're doing with Ripple. You might be interested in this, and you should attend. So now to take that messaging back to the committee. So this is where I finally feel like the moment where I'm going to okay, this is something in my wheelhouse. It also has to do with wine.
Right.
Okay. So it's going to be a sort of a wine pairing situation where we'd like to have an open to the public event. I will pour wine, but can speak about the luncheon. But I would love to have committee members partner with me to also a couple of hours and just talk to the local community. We're looking at College Park community. We're looking at Longwood community. And then potentially, if this is a success, we could again look at like the Winter Park specific community to try to put this out into the world. So what I'm learning about myself is that if For me, I needed to find something that I could step into that also had to do with my career path.
Yeah.
So this felt like an easy partnership where I could take a lead on this. So for me, this is kind of the first thing after sort of watching what other people are bringing to the table that I can distinctly do myself.
Mm-hmm.
So this for me is a bigger moment. I want to see it to be successful. If the committee is too busy to do it, that's okay. I will still do it, but I want to give them the opportunity to raise a hand and say, I would like to get involved.
Yeah.
Not dissimilar from when we did a Park Avenue stroll, and I'd never done anything like that before. I can cold call because I'm in sales,
Yes.
but to walk into a place and talk about what we're doing with the Ripple Effect Committee and so on, that was sort of a learning experience to me. And I looked to my predecessor, Rachel Pierce, who had already done and has experience in doing something of that nature.
Mm-hmm.
So learning from her in that moment, and then now me kind of saying, so what I've learned about myself is that I feel like I had to find a little niche to kind of get myself into the place. And then now I want to pass it to the committee and say, will you partner with me in doing this? So I'm learning that I can be, well, my leadership skills are there. I'm in sales, but I needed to find something specific that I could sort of hold on to that could be distinctly mine to offer them. The rest of it truly, if I'm going to just lean back on them. Like I honestly I take a lot of cues from them because they're all bring their own special thing that is unique to them. And I give it back to the committee because they're, I'm just here to sort of check boxes with Kylie in some instances and to make sure that our agendas are being touched, that everyone has all the information that they need so that we can move the needle forward.
I think it's huge. And if we prepped you, that's like the hugest talking point that we talk about of how to make philanthropy fun and yours and something you actually want to do, which is where does it come alongside your life?
Yeah.
And that's exactly it. And so how you show up in philanthropy doesn't have to be how I do.
Yeah.
And what's going to also get me excited is your passion about how you're showing up. And so seeing that and getting that all connected is always what we're striving for. So I love that was your takeaway and that's what you're seeing because we feel like how you get to the fun of it.
And that was an example of the ripple effect right there. She
Totally.
found something that
True.
she's interested in and got excited about and then, offered the opportunity and see who comes alongside. And that is the ripple moving outside in your own sphere. And every woman who comes to the Ripple Effect Luncheon is going to come up with something. Maybe it's for CKC. Maybe it's for another organization. That's the other thing I like about the event is we're really kind of speaking to philanthropy. And yes, at this event, we're raising money for pediatric cancer, but all this applies the rest of the year too for any organization you work for.
Yeah.
But you find something you connect with and then you make something happen and just invite people to join you.
Yeah.
And I'm excited to see this because just hearing you speak with so much passion about it is very exciting.
Yeah, totally. I want to go back to the art kits, which I know was very impactful for you. So I'm going to set up for our listeners first, just enough details so they know what we're talking about. At each event for Ripple, we wanted to show a tangible way that you can show up in philanthropy. And I think that's, as you're hearing, what this whole event is all these pieces of your life that already exist and how do you plug in? And so what we started doing was having a piece of here's what you physically can do. That's a really easy way to make an impact. And when you come to the event, there's an assembly line of all these art supplies that can be art kits that we then donated to Advent Health right here in Orlando. For us, the other thing I know the nonprofit nerds in the back, sticklers of this are when people are donating things, we love them to be new because kids need new, especially in a hospital setting. And then 2, we know that for as many little guys there are at the hospital, there are teens and young adults. And so we split everything out between younger kids and teenagers too. And just showed that if everyone got together and put these kits together at this event, we'd have about 200 art kits to take over to the hospital. And maybe this is something you want to do because you have a book club, and rather than everyone bring an app or wine or whatever it is, just tell them to bring something and you can put this together and take it to the hospital. We've done that for 2 years now. We have our one in process for this year. We have a little bit of an idea, but I want to go back to then as a committee, then we invited y'all to come to the hospital, take a tour when we dropped them all off. And I know that was impactful. And I would venture to say is also what made you feel like, I got to be chair. I got to do my next thing after a while. So I wanted to hear your perspective.
Yeah, that day will forever live in my memory. We brought the art kits in 150, I believe.
first year,
art kits were 150 art kits. And when we met with hospital personnel, they said to us, these will all be given out by this afternoon. So for someone who does not have a lot of experience in a hospital, I have not had, fortunately, any family members to visit, children to visit in a hospital, to step foot into the hospital and to be in the pediatric wing, already impactful. And then the one that's in Central Florida is so beautiful, the way they partnered with Disney, like it is like a wonderland in that lobby. So to get to see that and to see how families congregate, to go up into the kitchen area where they have like a full, beautiful kitchen set up with a fruit bowl, and there's a refrigerator full of food and drinks to keep families comfortable. My gosh, I mean, it was a day. It was a day. And to be able to go into the art center where they actually can bring kids from their rooms and they can create their own art in there, just to see it all in real life was so, so impactful. But when they said every single one of these will be good, we don't have a bed to spare. We will give out all 150 today.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. And that's in one hospital in our community. We have, just in our community, 3 children's hospitals that are across different parts of town. And I think, the other piece for us is that's at the entire hospital. They said, do you want this to be just for oncology? No, of course. We want it to go to the kids with broken arms, and we want them to go to everything. But the idea that a thing that we worked really hard on, we thought when I saw those bins, I was like, gosh, this is a lot.
I know. Remember, we were like, I hope they have a place to store this, because you don't want to bring in a whole bunch of stuff and then, they're sitting in the fundraiser's office for the next 3 months. And we're like, so is this
that's
okay?
why we wound up asking the question.
Yeah.
We're
getting them all out today. I remember that. It felt like a bomb went off.
Yeah.
Yes. And I think that piece is so important, because we come alongside in this idea of we need research, we need education, we need better treatments for kids. And when you're in the hospital as a child, you should have things that are keeping you busy and keeping you feeling normal and comfortable. And none of that is the treatment itself. And so all of that other stuff is where community can come in and have impact. And I love that that's been a really special part for you.
Yeah.
And I think it's really special. I think it's fun when you're there. Of course, it's like shopping a little, but that it makes a difference.
The luncheon is fun.
Yes.
But seeing the impact firsthand, like I have not been there to see any actionable, like we're going to do this with clinical trials, or we're presenting this to doctors. Like I have not been on the inner wing or inner landscape of that yet. So me to go to the hospital on that one day to do this one very simple task of dropping off art kits, I knew I'm 100% in on this. I will stay on Ripple as long as Ripple is successful. As long as it is around, I will be a part of it.
So I feel like we've touched on a lot of amazing ideas today. I think people have a great idea of what a Ripple Effect Luncheon looks like and feels like when they get there. And we've talked a little bit about how things will ripple out after the event. I wonder if you can share, if people are looking to get involved, whether as volunteers, attendees, or supporters, do you remember back to like your first step, or, when you're trying to get people to attend, to come, to just be involved? What's some advice you would give to people who are in that spot where, they know that there's something they're interested in, but they're not quite ready yet?
In terms of participation, or true, like being a part of committee, like getting into philanthropy?
I mean, either. Yeah.
So to get involved, just for the luncheon in and of itself, or any activity. Well, let me dial back, because honestly, I feel like the participation piece, like for me, it was a cup of coffee with Dana and a great idea. And I was with a couple of other people that are current and still committee members, and we're all still on. just this idea. And I thought, well, for me, it was like, okay, this is my chance. This is it. Like it's found me very organically, and I'm on board. Whatever this turns out to be, I'm going to learn these next couple of years. I'm going to learn this year especially. But I didn't come at it and come out of the gate like a bullet out of a gun by any means. I wasn't sure. I mean, in truth, it's very similar to a sales pitch, right? Like, I want to talk to you about this luncheon. It took time for me to form my words on how to approach my girlfriends to say, hey, I'm doing this. Now I can do it second nature. I can bring it up literally in any conversation. I can talk to anybody, even on an elevator, about it if you would like to go there with me. But so it took me a minute to sort of, I just had a table. Like, I was happy to have a seat at the table, right? At the luncheon in and of itself. And I did invite some girlfriends and got some girlfriends to come with me. But this year, because we're in our third year, like, I was all in early on. Tickets will go on sale at this time. Let's do a girlfriend's table. I had never done that before. And I had more people that are interested than I could fill the table. So we started to sort of partially fill another table. So that was sort of, and it took time though, right? It took some time, some growth for me to figure out how to talk it through. And how to present the idea. And this is why it's important. And now I think, honestly, by next year, I don't know why I wouldn't be able to at least book at least 2 to 3 girlfriend tables right out of the gate. Yeah. Especially when, early on when we offer this amazing discounted table situation early on, if we continue to do that on women's, I think it was women's.
Yeah, start on International Women's Day. And I think one year we did Galentine's Day.
Yeah.
We'll have to throw out,
like it. Yeah. Yeah. So for me, it took some time, right? Is this again, like that learning experience, that building on what the experience has meant to me, and then better understanding still what I know we're raising money for pediatric cancer research, but what does that mean? Even in the beginning, I couldn't even get those words easily out of my mouth. So it just took time. So I would say to anybody that's interested in getting involved, take time with yourself. Know that you're not going to come in and know all the things.
Yeah.
And that's okay.
Yeah.
Just show up at the table, because every time you do, you will learn something more. You will say, oh, I know someone who can do that. I have a friend that actually could donate, or the local business owner that you maybe know. So I think that we all sort of start to tap into our, I can do that. I know somebody for that. The longer you sit and listen, you start to realize, like, I can do that. Like you said, everybody's going to come at it from their own personal experience, from their own place. But what everybody's bringing to the table has value.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
Give it time and sit in your discomfort just a little bit so that you can get comfortable, right? Oh, I love it so much. Well, we have to wrap it up, even though we could talk.
We could talk forever, but we're being given some signals that we should stop.
When Viv comes by with the timer, 5 minutes ago.
It's been a good conversation.
All right.
So if you want to keep having conversations about Ripple Effect, you should come to the Ripple Effect Luncheon. And if you're in Central Florida and want to join us, you can go to our website, go to the Make an Impact tab, and get your tickets for the Ripple Effect Winter Park Luncheon. It helps support research. If you want to just support the research, you can also go to our website for that. It's cannonballkidscancer.org.
Yeah, and we want to thank you for listening to Game Over Cancer. But the conversation does not have to stop now. You can go ahead on to the episode, leave a comment, and you know what? It's us answering those comments too. So we're happy to let you know anything.
So not a lot of people work here.
Not a lot of people work here, and we're in the comments too.
Yes. So thank you for tuning in. We appreciate you joining us, making a commitment to our fight. Until next time, I'm Dana Nichols.
I'm Val Solomon,
and we will see you later.
Join us as we transform fear into courage and turn adversity into opportunities for change.
If you want to be involved in the conversations that create change in the world of pediatric cancer, take a moment, share, like, and subscribe.